Hello, this is video 3 of the Elements of Art handout video series. Video 1, we went over the line and the shape elements of art here. Video 2 went over color and value. And now video 3, we're going to go over form, texture, and space. So I have my colors here. I have oranges, and I have a red and a yellow, and then I have a lot of greens. So I organized those in light, medium, and dark right next to me here. The first thing we're going to do is the form. So it says to use implied texture to create form. So we're not quite shading this one. I'm just going to really simply draw a square. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then all 3 of these lines go back to the same angle. And I'm just going to close it up really quickly. So now I have my square. I'm going to outline it a little bit more, kind of make it a little bit thicker to kind of really show my edges. And then I'm going to go ahead and add some implied texture going off the edge and just kind of inside the space here. And then I'm going to have some, it's important to have it go off the edge, because if you don't, then it won't create enough depth and it'll look like it's still flat. So like when you have a dog in front of you, you know, the hair is not just within the body of the dog, and it kind of goes off the dog and all these different directions. So you want to make sure also that your line work here goes in different directions as well. And then for the second one here for form, you want to go ahead and create any shape using a pencil really quickly. And then it doesn't have to be anything. Here's my light source right here. Can be any light source. I'm just going to go ahead and make this your light source. And then I'm going to take my my lightest color, and I'm going to have everything sharpened. I'm going to do my little circular motion for my shading, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and fill this space in. With the entire space, I'm filling in with my lightest color. Nice on the edge. I'm not coloring like this like I'm writing. I'm coloring like this. Then what I'm going to do, because you know this direct light source is going to shine here, I'm going to go back in and I'm going to create the space behind it here. This is the space. If it's shooting on here, this is the highlight. This is the mid-tone area. And then this is going to be the core shadow, where I'm creating kind of like a C shape. But I'm also trying to mimic this outline right here, this shape of this outline. So I'm going to go back in. I'm with my lightest color still, and I'm creating that shape. You'll eventually start to see it kind of show up a little bit darker, because as you overlap with colored pencil, it'll start to become darker when you're layering it, of course. So you don't want to press too hard either because of wax bloom. If you press too hard, then you won't be able to layer your colors, because then the wax comes out of the pencil, right? And then you won't be able to layer because the wax will create like a resist. So now I have a medium color. I'm going to go in, I'm going to repeat the space of the core shadow right here that I just started on. And I have my pencil at an angle. I'm not holding it like I'm writing. And I'm pushing, 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 and then I'm lifting towards the center lightly. I'm not going anywhere near this highlighted area either. I'm staying within that core shadow space. I'm pushing, 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 and then I'm lifting towards the center. Nice and on the side, okay? And then if you have to move your paper, you know, for your convenience, you do that. I do that all the time. So I'm pushing, pushing, pushing. Nice circles, nice little long circles, and then I'm lifting towards the center. So I'm like lifting up the pressure is what I'm talking about. So I'm doing this, push, 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 and then lift, 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 lift. So you're like lifting it up. So then that way you can shade it, right? So I'm circular, 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 pushing, 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 and then lifting as I go towards the center, towards those mid-tone values. I'm going a little tiny bit into my highlight area, but like this dark, like super, super light. Okay, and then how do I feel that looks when I have it upright again? I think I'll go back in and add more information right here to that core shadow, really kind of give it more depth over here in this bottom part, okay? And then I'm pushing and I'm lifting. And then I'm going to choose my darkest one here. And I feel more comfortable this way for whatever reason. So I'm going to go in and I'm just going to push a little bit more with the darkest. I'm going to push, 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 and then I'm lifting towards the middle so I can create those midtones, which is right about this midtone area, not the lightest, not the darkest, right? The middle. And I'm going to push, 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 push. And I'm going to lift. And there's a reason why I'm not going to the edge of my outline. It's because I want to keep what's called reflective light there, which comes off the surface of whatever it is that you're drawing next to or onto. So this reflective light here, this whole white lighter area, right? Sometimes it'll have your lightest value involved there. That'll create like the optical illusion for you. So if you noticed, I just went and I changed my pencil again because I just want to push this mid-tone and this darkest one just one more time to really kind of make it look like this is a three-dimensional object. And then that's pretty much it at this point. There's also there's cast shadows involved and things of that nature. But for this one, what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and move forward. And I feel like this is just enough information for this, especially since we don't have it on a table or anything like that. So then number 6, what we're going to be doing is hatching, cross-hatching, stippling, cross-contour line provides an additional dimension to shape by turning it into a form. So what you want to do is you want to create a shape and then turn it into a form using texture, also known as implied texture when you're doing something on a flat surface like this, as opposed to like a three-dimensional sculpture. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to draw I'm going to draw this square again here. I have my square. Maybe we'll do a rectangle this time. Why not? Like for fun, just change it up a little tiny bit. So I have my frontal space here, my horizontal and my vertical lines. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give it dimension. I'm going in the same direction here, the same angles. And then I'm going to close that up with a vertical line. And then I'm going to close it up with a horizontal line. Okay? So I'm closing it up, and then you edit with your eraser. Your eraser is a tool also. It's not just for mistakes, it's for editing, right? So then I have my, square / rectangle I've turned into like a cube, a more three-dimensional object. And then also what I'm going to be doing is turning a circle into a sphere. Okay, and what I want to do here is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do cross contour line for my implied texture. So see what I can do with just some cross contour lines. Here's some cross contour hatching and cross hatching, right? So now it looks more like a sphere since I've added those lines. And then my implied texture I can do for this rectangle here. I can go ahead and add, I can do some stippling in the corners and just give it kind of more dimension and more depth, like there's a shadow in the corner, and then as you're coming away from the square, it pulls away and they get separated and they get further and further apart. So when you're in like the space that's the most, the darkest in a hallway, right? Like the lights at the end of the hallway, the other end of the hallway is the darkest where there's like the corners. So if you look at it like this, like here's your light, your shading is going to get further and further apart as you get closer to the light, okay? And then on the top of it, maybe that's our brightest area where the light is shining. So I'm just going to do like a little bit, right? So then for me, I feel like that's kind of showing that you're using implied texture in order to create form out of a shape. And then number 7, use a two-dimensional surface. Composition can consist of zooming in on an object using the paper in rule of thirds. In enlargement, use the provided space to create a drawing where you're zooming in on an object. Okay, so basically, let's just pretend we're Georgia O'Keeffe today, and I'm going to go in and I'm going to draw like part of a flower. Maybe there's like seeds in the flower. This is what she would do a lot of. Georgia O'Keeffe was an artist who lived in New Mexico at one point in her life, and she loved it there. She would visit her husband, Alfred Stieglitz, who was a photographer in New York, and she was not a fan of New York because she would be walking along the sidewalk and she'd look up and all she would see was skyscrapers. Oh, so she was not a fan. She wanted to be where you're looking up and you see clouds and blue sky. So you'll notice in a lot of her artwork, she draws nature, and she will go up to like a flower and she'll draw the entire thing, and then she'll zoom in on one area of that flower, right? And that area of the flower, she'll make it almost like it's abstract, kind of, because some of the flowers do not look like flowers. They look like another object. So you'll have to really study her work and her history in order to find out what her intentions were. But this would be, let's just pretend, like a sunflower, okay? Zooming in on a sunflower object. So as far as this video goes, this would be the conclusion of how to finish the form, texture, and space. Thank you.